preliminary is not part of the 1 hour. The lecturer picks the microphone and start counting. And after the lecture, she will be crowned. Father, it's a father. It's a bishop. A bishop until you cardinal. Be a brother cardinal until you pope by the grace of God. It's a called the Ndi Chile Chichi, Ichibe Chisiozo, Chio or Mawon. Onwell and Kyoga Bichise, Opuge Topo, or High Chief. So High Chief I be attack, I chair in academics. But one noon wine, go no twine, but lecture. Below moon, no, below no tune. So I say, because relax. The moment the procession commences, please take the camera out. The camera out so that they will be seeing the procession. Go out and get the procession. Immediately after the inaugural lecture, she will now be crowned a super professor. Thereafter, if you have gifts to give, if you want to take photographs with her, you take photographs. And there will be dining and wining at the procession. So I request the camera, please proceed outside and get the procession. I welcome all of you. I say none. Onye ọbụla n'ebe you recognize the procession has commenced. Ana m ayọ biko ọ bụrụ na ha bata anyị niile ebini ọtọ. Anyị niile akwụla ọtọ. Onye na-abata ihe a bụ honorable member representing Anocha 2 constituency. Honorable Ejike Okechukwu, House Committee member on appropriation. Biko ka anyị kwụrụ n'ọtọ. Nabata. When they lead the procession will immediate past lecturer, inaugural lecturer, super professor, reverend. The immediate past inaugural lecturer who just did hers last month. I am talking about no other than Reverend Sister Professor Ann Amuche Obiora. I can see the university librarian, 𝖢tu𝖺𝗇δι𝖾ki𝖾ι𝗂𝗋𝗁𝖺, doctor. I can see the DVC academics. I can see the vice chancellor, ably represented by the DVC admin and environmental studies. first stanza of the national anthem, thereafter the Anambra State anthem, and then the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu song. First stanza of the national anthem, please. COOU song. A round of applause. As we're still standing, may I please request Venerable Ephraim Ume to come up for the opening prayer. Venerable Ume, please. Or can I bring the microphone there? Thank you, sir. Sorry.
Shall we pray? Our glorious Father, we thank you for a day like this that you have made, in which we should be rejoiced and be glad in you. Thank you for bringing us from various homes, Lord, to be here for this inaugural lecture. We present the presenter before you, asking for utterance. Thank you for the favor she has enjoyed in you and what you have used her to do in many lives. We do pray, Lord, that the product of this lecture might help us and mankind in general. Thank you for those you have used to put up this program. And Lord, we may benefit from it, and at the end of it all, we may have cause to glorify your name. Thank you, for we pray in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, Venerable. I see you no Dalono. Unemeka webia. We want to doff our cap to all the lecturees here present. Like I say, I welcome all the lecturees from different parts of this world. I said world because there are people watching us from overseas. This is transmitted live. So globally, you have been watched. So when you're going to muka a gentleman. I salute all of you as a way of observing protocol. May I doff my cap for the indomitable Vice Chancellor of this great university, 𝖍tu𝖾 par excellence. The Vice Chancellor of this great university is no other than Professor Kate Azuka Omenoga, Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. We call her 𝖍tu𝖾 because no Omechancha, within the first few days he came into office, she came into office as a substantive Vice Chancellor. Everywhere. This hall, for instance, it was full of rodents. A man who there about 5 minutes. A couple of man or chichatagi. More no well if but the moment she came, she changed this place. Babu heat in a mebu. Manaketo 𝖢tu𝖺𝗇δι𝖾ki𝖾i𝖾 𝖲𝖾𝗇𝖽𝖾. So in the 2 gates were all done by this lady I am talking about. Adekuzimaka salary in the paid as and when due. Well, at times I nebudin the civil servants a lot of improvements, buildings springing off here and there. Discipline amongst lecturers and discipline amongst students. That's the woman we are talking about. She has traveled far and away. We bring here quite a number of changes to this university. I'm talking about Professor Kate Azuka Omenoga. She's ably represented here by no other than the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Environmental Sustainability, Professor Anselam Chukwuemeka Nweke. Madam Vice Chancellor, you are welcome. We also have want to welcome another Deputy Vice Chancellor, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration. Dika masịrị na ọgụnwa bụ admin. Okwu ntagheri ọnụnụ gbaghara nụ mbiko. Nyanwa bụ Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic and Environment, Deputy Vice Chancellor. Nah, Dr. Chukwu Emeka Nweke Anselm is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration and Environmental Studies. Then we have Professor Obiora, who is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic in this university. He is a giant in medicine too. The Deputy Vice Chancellor, that's a Professor Obiora Ejiofor. You are welcome. We also have the university librarian, who is a member of the management team of this great university. I'm talking about no other than Dr. Uchenna Enwani. You are welcome, madam. We have the chairman of the inaugural lecture committee of COOU, Professor O.S.A. Obikeze Miliano Kainabwe. 20 Miliano. A round of applause. We also have a super professor in our midst, super in all spheres of life, former council member of this great university, former dean of law, the person that trained me in this profession as a university orator, because I took over from him as the university orator of this great university. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations and Biazukwe last year, Pajenye MNI. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about Akurien Nenuguku Nomonre, Professor P.E.O. Ogono. A round of applause. We also have another super professor. I said the immediate past super professor. She did hers last month, and we're talking about Reverend Sister Super Professor Anne Amuche Obiora. You are welcome. You are welcome. We have another super professor from the Faculty of Management Sciences. I think the only super professor from there, and former dean of that particular faculty, former head of banking and finance, former banker, former this, former that. I'm talking about Super Professor Vin Ezabasele. You are welcome, sir. Quite some few seconds ago, I saw the honorable member representing an 𝖪tu𝗂 constituency. He recognized because I froze me. So I recognize as the member representing an 𝖪tuR constituency in Anambra State House of Assembly, Honorable Ejike Okechukwu. Okay. Ejike Okechukwu, you are welcome. House Committee Member on Appropriation. I salute all of you. I salute the siblings of the inaugural lecturer. I salute Umuada Ndotuye. I salute all of you. But prominently and more importantly, I want to salute Sir Isaiah Ezezika and Lady Gloria Ezezika. Why I salute them specially is because this team of couple was in the membership of those that were on visitation panel that recommended that Chukwu Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University 𝖪ian campus should be a main campus. Without the visitation panel that made this recommendation, we wouldn't have had this school. So a round of applause. A round of applause for that. Aka unoko unungomiri. That's why I'm so much because since you're obuna, amarom dige ngominu mana ndi obuna anubero di anubero wine unu kwado verana unu ayọọ ya ka onye unu coaching maka marriage maka ebe ọbụla njelu mme MC m na-afụ ọga anyị ya na nwunye na-eso ọ bụrụkwa ndị be anyị kịta na-anụ di na nwunye na-abụ obinie ọ na-agala onwe ya nwunye ya na-esozi ya n'azụ mana mmadụ na-abụ abụfa binie onye ejide onwe ya aka fa wee na-aga ị na-anya ka ha si nọ even if they want to talk ọ dịka ha chọọ ike isi onwe ha the love is still there. He is an administrator par excellence. She is a no-nonsense man. And that is why they are living long. Bible says in Psalm 91 that with long life I will satisfy you. Verse 16. And he's satisfying the couple with long life. And I believe now we look golden jubilee. 3 of us? 𝖥4th 𝖨. I claim that in Jesus' name. So, having said that, I recognize everybody here. Ndị oko niile, ndị eziokwu niile, I recognize unu niile. Ụmụ Ogbunguma, I recognize unu. Ụmụ Ọhamala, I recognize unu. Ndị niile bụ ndị bịanụ. Ụmụ akwụkwọ niile, ndị professors niile, I recognize unu. Ndị doctors niile, former account bossa of this school, Idenna, I recognize you. I recognize all the professors here present. But you are all recognized. All the distinguished Senate members, professors here, senators here, I recognize you. Academic senators, I recognize you. From COOU and other schools, those that are visiting us from UNEC, those that are visiting us from IMT, those that are visiting us from ASUT and other institutions around and far, I recognize all of you. Because when you may recognize, I recognize him here. Dine Obumneme, Dine Chilechichi, mana legal profession, manoka, manobodo. I recognize every one of you. And I recognize myself. My name is Emeka Arinze, the University Orator. Ada kukulu maka wehemme. Hey, atokwanamo. Hey. At this juncture, the chairman so ana m ekene onye ọbụla nwere onye ya asị na m ekenere ya kịta ọkacha ụmụ nwanyị ndị nne anyị. I appreciate you. Each time nwanyị enwe ihe na-adị iche na inaugural lecture nwoke na-eme na inaugural lecture nwanyị na-eme. Nwanyị na-abụ omebe nwoke ka m bidogodo na nwoke na-abụ omebe inaugural lecture akụrie nne mbọsị o mere inaugural lecture. Ndị okpu mmemme juru ebe a. Igwe Enugu Ukwu na ebe a. Ndị high chief Enugu Ukwu, ndị a na-ekpu okpu nkata fancha niile nọchasị ebe a. Etu a ka ọ na-adị ụmụ nwoke na fa mebe nkewa. Ụmụ nwoke eju. Ụmụ nwaanyị mebezie nkewa. Ifụ ndị kechi ịchafụ kafu mmemme amara m nọ sọsọ ịchafụ mmemme kunu na-eyi. Unu enwero nke blue. Blue is my color. So nke mmemme ya na osiba. Ibe ndị anyị na-akpụ ya bụ osiba. Ya ka fa na-eyi. And I like that so much. When se ka mmalụ na ụmụ nwoke, whether they will emulate that kind of thing. Anyị enwe uniform. Mana nke anyị bụ na anyị nwee uniform nke anyị adam ebe anyị na-edobie. Mbọsị a ga-emezi dị mmemme ka a ga-elotie wee chinitie. Ọ bụrụ na ọkụ adọrọ ma na mpiti ya ekwe. Because na ndị ha eyicha nke ederede fancha niile eju ebe. Mana ine ụmụ nwaanyị etufas wee kit fa maka biko ka anyị kwala ụmụ nwaanyị aka. Kama ife nna ya bụ ife ọ na-abụ emebe ụka nna adelota anyị si tinye kenye. I thank God na venerable na ebe a. I thank God na member of the House of Assembly nọ ebe a. Ndị ya emenya bụ iwu nọcha ebe a si chenji kene na ọnọdụ a. Mbọsị anyị emekwu na ụka nne si cheta na anyị. Mbọsị anyị eme na ụka nne si cheta na ụka nna ka nne ekwu si cheta anyị. ọ bụrụ sọsọ mgbe a ga-eme ụka nne ọ na-afịọ mana redio mana TV omeni na o nwere ụlọ nwoke na-aba ndị ụka kwụ bịakwuo na nke ndị ụka egwu niile ha na-agụrụ anyị adama like ya venerable biko siti gbanye n'izu sweet mother I no go forget you for this suffering wey you suffer for nwoke esokwuru ọta afụfụ uluzie mgbọsị nwa akpọ n'ụka nna asị n'ụka nna egwu ya na-agụrụ anyị ndị bụ nna nwere ọlụ ha ndị bụ nna nwere ọlụ ha ihe nna ajụ bụ ọlụ a nwoke lụrụ ya lụsị akwụkwọ ma ụgwọ akwụkwọ ụfọdụ na-ejekwu school run ejebe school run jebe jesie ọ bụrụ na nne venerable biko si tụkpọ n'elu ka ama ebe anyị eme agbanwe ọnọdụ anyị ndị ya mere ụmụ nwoke ji anwụ n'ike ya ka nwoke ji anwụ n'ike nwoke taba afụ tabatasịa nwaanyị erie mana dadi anyị abịakwute anyị ka inye anyị dị fọmụla unu ji eme nke unu ọ dịkwa nke ọ na-abụ ịkwụ ụgwọ akwụkwọ ma ọ ma ị na-agwa ụmụazị na ịkwụrụ ụgwọ akwụkwọ mana ndị ụmụazị tata ọ ya abịa na bedrum gwa gị na oge ịkwụ ụgwọ akwụkwọ elugo ị nọ na bedrum nye ego ọkwụgbazi ụgwọ akwụkwọ pụta o gosi ụmụazị resit nekwa na m akwụghị ụgwọ akwụkwọ ọ bịa kwụ onye wetara ego eji kwụ ụgwọ akwụkwọ na onye jee na bankị je kwụ ụgwọ akwụkwọ kedu onye kwụ ụnụ ha na-abụkwụrụ ụgwọ akwụkwọ enyiwe mana ịma na nwoke ọbụla efu na-apịa ụkwa ya na ihe na-eme. That is why Ojiwezuan on what to do. I was just buying time for the time to get to it. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite Madam Vice Chancellor of this great university to speak to us online. I am talking about no other than an Amazon, a dignified woman, Professor Kate Azoka Omenwe, FNIPR. Professor, please speak to us.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon from here.
Good afternoon. We are hearing you loud and clear.
It's a pleasure that I want to join in this inaugural lecture by one of our Professor Law. And I want to excitedly tell you that our university is actually on the rise. We have moved from the 7th inaugural lecture to where we are now. And we're excited. I'm calling in from this Trinity University, where I just signed an MOU with the Vice Chancellor, who happens to be only Anambra. You see, that is what we say about our visibility. And I'm very excited that with all the things we're doing in technology, I'm able to join at this inaugural lecture. This is to congratulate our inaugural lecturer and to tell her that we are proud of what she has done, taking the bull by the horn and coming to address us today on a very important topic. This is to bring you good wishes too from the UK, and to tell you that even though I'm not there physically, I'm also there physically in every sense of the word. And because we are quite excited about what we are going to do at Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University, the now university of the future, that is why I said I must join. The Vice Chancellor here was able to give me a space to speak to you for just 5 minutes or less, and to tell you that I am there with you, both in body and in spirit. So go on with the lecture, have a swell time, learn all you have to learn, and let's welcome Prof as a super professor, like we call them. So enjoy the rest of the day and good luck. My Prof today, and may you enjoy. I mean, I can see her there smiling. And that's, I guess, that's the husband by her side. And let me tell you that we are proud of all your contributions to the university. You were former dean of the Faculty of Law and former director of our linkages. And that shows how visible you have helped our university to become. So congratulations to you and your husband. And let me say a great kudos to your husband for giving you, for any woman to succeed in Nigeria and to come to where you have become. What it means is that you have a very supportive husband. So the greatest thanks goes to him, who has been able to give you all the support that you need to be able to come to the tops. Congratulations again and again, and welcome to a super professor of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chancellor. Not just Vice Chancellor, but the first female Vice Chancellor of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University. First female Vice Chancellor of a state university in the Southeast. And the first Vice Chancellor to have worked as Vice Chancellor and was the Commissioner for Education for 8 years. And that is why the transformation we are seeing in this university, that is why the serious rehabilitation we are seeing, buildings everywhere, structures everywhere, and that is the Vice Chancellor of Excellence. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite the citation to be read by no other than Super Professor P.E.O. Ogona, Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, MNI. I now invite the lecturer, Professor Nkeiruka, Justina Obumneme-Okafor, to stand out for her citation.
Hello. It gives me a great pleasure to be here. Madam Vice Chancellor, thank you so much for this opportunity. The University Orator, you've done noble. I'm excited indeed for very compelling reasons and strategic reasons. One, because Professor Obumneme-Okafor, NK Akola, is a knight of the church, and I happen to be also a knight of the Catholic Church. We indeed metamorphosed from the same faculty, Department of International Law and Jurisprudence. I indeed handed over to her as the head of department, and then handed over to her as the dean of the faculty. I think handed over to her as the director of international linkages. So you can see why I am indeed very excited to be here. And when I joined the faculty in 2008, she was one of those who made me welcome and made me comfortable in that faculty. I am pleased to be here. You're going to hear today so many things you've never heard before, the things she has to tell us you've never heard before, and then certain things about her you've never heard before either. So watch out. Nkeiruka, Justina, Obumneme-Okafor. There's another name coming, but hold on. Okonkwo was born at the time her mates were born, in the present-day Imo State of Nigeria, to Mr. Herbert Nweke Okonkwo and Mrs. Elizabeth Gini Dekanwa Okonkwo Ni Anozie of Ezioko Village, Oko, Orumba South Local Government Area of Anambra State. She indeed started her primary school education in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. But the outbreak of the Nigerian Civil War drove the entire family back home to Oko, where she continued with her primary school education. She sat for and passed the first school living certificate in flying colors. She also underwent her post-primary school education at the Girls Secondary School, Ogidi, we call them Ogidiga then, in the present Idemili North Local Government Area of Anambra State. Sat for and passed her West African School Certificate, WASC, with a stint in ancillary classroom teacher with the Anambra State school system. She proceeded to the Institute of Management and Technology, IMT Enugu, where she studied for and obtained the OND, Ordinary National Diploma in Catering and Hotel Management. After the mandatory one-year industrial training, she gained admission to the Polytechnic Nekede, Owerri, Imo State, where she studied for and obtained the Higher National Diploma, HND in Catering and Hotel Management. She therefore went in for the mandatory one-year National Youth Service, back then in Kano State Ministry of Social Welfare as a welfare officer, and passed out upon the completion of that service without blemish. After the youth service, she took up employment with the Modotel group of hotels, Enugu, and rose to the position of assistant manager and thereafter manager, when she then resigned and returned to school, which would result in the complete change of profession, career, and pursuit of higher academic attainments. Professor Obumneme-Okafor's total change from the hospitality profession into the legal profession was providential. Growing up as a young girl who had completed her mandatory education, she never relented. She never related with law as a possible course of study, despite being an art student and promptings and suggestions to read law from some people who knew her. She clearly recalls that one Mr. Patrick Nwangwo, her watch repairer, indeed, and Mr. Chima Ochulo, a brother in her scripture union fellowship, would always enjoin her to go and read law, as according to them, she always reasoned and argued like a lawyer. These two gentlemen never knew or met each other, one being at Ekulobia, Agwata, while the other was at Newi. Such was Mr. Patrick Nwangwo's conviction about law, being what she was supposed to study. That when she informed him thereafter that she had gained admission into the IMT Enugu, his immediate response was, "I hope it is law." And when the response came to the negative, she retorted, "Well, you missed it. Your profession is actually law." She simply laughed, shrugged it off, and forgot about the conversation. Poised to pursue her profession in catering and hotel management, Professor Nkeiruka, Obumneme-Okafor, had first secured employment in one of the leading hotels in Enugu, preparatory to the commencement of her career, without realizing that in line with the prophetic resonance of her native name, Nkeiruka, meaning that what lay ahead was much greater. He was in the process of settling into her catering profession that her path crossed with that of Obumneme-Okafor, a lawyer. I must tell you, he must have been a princess or Prince Charming to have been able to woo her. Congratulations. But subsequently, he became her husband, and as divine providence would have it, Obumneme-Okafor was not only of the same view of her with Mr. Patrick Nwankwo and Bro Chulo for her to study law, but also took proactive steps to steer her away from catering by ensuring that she secured admission into the Faculty of Law, University, UNIZIK, Awka, the inertia which greeted her quest for the admission, the admission to read law was discouraging. That the then Vice Chancellor of UNIZIK, Professor Nwankwo of blessed memory, exclaimingly remarked, "Gini konye a na-abịa na law faculty achọ. Ya jee sibenni ọmaalụ ka esi esi." This was despite the Vice Chancellor's reading a letter from the former Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Alex Ekwueme, who incidentally, maybe some of you don't know, also a lawyer, had had written to the Vice Chancellor and advising that she be offered admission to study law. The Vice Chancellor's reaction almost sealed her hope of gaining the admission. But the inscrutable providence that plans for her, despite the negative remarks and disposition, her quest for the admission miraculously materialized through the then Dean of Law, who was obviously better placed to understand why Osinni should be granted the opportunity to read law. That destiny helper and enabler was Professor Chuks Okpaloba, God bless his soul. And so she went in, pursued the course of study, and successfully secured her LLB, which is first degree in law, got called to the Nigerian bar with securing the BL, and then secured a master's degree in law, LLM, and then, of course, ultimately, the Doctor of Philosophy in Law, PhD. Thank you. Within a short period of securing the LLM, she got employed as a lecturer in law by the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, which was then answered in August 2005. You see, this month of August, it is the same month she is there now presenting her inaugural lecture. Beautiful coincidence. In the course of lecturing, she obtained her PhD in law in 2009, and alas, the Osinni, ironically, became the holder of a PhD in no other field than law, even though she remains active as full-time Osinni for her household. I remember during my inaugural lecture, I needed someone to, when she tasted my food, the food I served, she's like, oh, okay, you know what? I could have done better. And I looked at her. Then I remembered that as the first meeting we had in the faculty as head of department, she offered, when the man disappointed us at the canteen there to prepare food for us, she stepped in and prepared food for us. But I didn't realize she was this good. Osinni, Jisike, God is and remains ever faithful. It is that Osinni, who was casually dismissed as not only worthy of admission to read law, that is today standing before this august assembly in the month of August to deliver her professorial inaugural lecture in an admixed and recondite area of law. It can only be the handiwork of God, and to him be all the glory. Great things he has done and keeps doing. Her remarkable performance in LLM degree program, which she completed with CGPA of 4.75 out of 5.00, was improved upon in her doctorate degree program, which she completed with a CGPA of 5.00 over 5.00. I needed to say more, but you see, it's an abridged version. If I start reading all I know about this erudite academic, we won't live here today. So please permit me to do the abridged version, which is exactly what I'm doing. Now, rising through the ranks from lecturer 2 in 2005 to lecturer 1 in 2008 to senior lecturer in 2011, reader in 2014, and ultimately to the rank of professor in October 2017. She thus became the first female professor of law in the Faculty of Law of this great citadel of learning. Professor Nkeiruka Justina Obumneme-Okafor championed the introduction of the law of arbitration and the law of consumer protection into the curriculum of the Faculty of Law and pioneered the teaching of the two courses, and has also taught the law of contract, labor industrial law, family law, and succession, and lately, the principles of equity and trust. Prior to and after her elevation to the rank of professor, she has served the university in various capacities, including the membership of the Council of the University as Senate representative from August 2018 to September 2021, elected Dean Faculty of Law, and after serving the two-term tenure, was appointed for another additional period of 1 year in acting capacity till December 2021. She became the first female dean of the Faculty of Law, during which period she successfully took the faculty through the National Universities Commission accreditation exercise and ensured that maintenance of high standards of academic discipline and integrity amongst the staff and students of the faculty. Prior to and after becoming the Dean of Faculty of Law, she had served as a head of department, like I mentioned earlier, Department of Jurisprudence and International Law, chairman, Faculty Seminar Committee, Faculty Welfare Committee, member Faculty of Dress Code, which I think I chaired at the time, Faculty of Exam Misconduct Committee, and a host of others. I can't mention all of them for want of time, please. Now, Professor Nkeiruka has to her credit over 40 published articles in local and international journals, book chapter contributions, and has attended conferences in and outside the Federal Republic of Nigeria. She has 2 standard textbooks in her credit, namely Current Perspective in the Law Relating to Industrial Relations, Management and Administration in Nigeria. She also has written Consumer Protection in the Petroleum Industry in Nigeria, Law, Policy and Practice. And she has also written or currently working on her standard text on the law of consumer protection in Nigeria and family law. Despite venturing into law as a second profession, she has made inspiring pioneering positions in her career. Let me just mention a few of them. The first female PhD holder in law in this faculty of law, the first indigenous female PhD holder in law in her Oko community, the first female professor of law in her faculty, the first indigenous female professor in her community, the first female professor of law in her community, Oko, the first female dean elected and appointed in her faculty, the first professor of law amongst her peers in UNIZE, set of 1997. Professor Nkeiruka, Justina Obumneme-Okafor, is a member of Nigerian Bar Association, member of Nigerian Bar Association Enugu Branch, member Nigerian Association of Law Teachers, NALT, member Academic Staff Union of Universities, Korea Branch, and of course, Ideal Women Award by Nike North Archdeaconry, Anglican Diocese of Nike Church of Nigeria, Anglican Communion, and a host of others. She is indeed a fellow of Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliations, fellow Institute of Arbitration and Dispute Resolution, Nigeria, fellow Institute of Conflict Managers of Nigeria, fellow Institute of Professional Managers and Administrators, fellow, distinguished fellow Institute of Global Peace and Conflict Management, certified marriage and family therapist, certified confidential recovery therapist, certified sex therapist, certified life coach. Professor Nkeiruka Justina Obumneme-Okafor is married to her Prince Charming, Sir Obumneme-Okafor, a legal giant and an indigene of our beloved Oko community. No wonder he started shadowing her from the cradle. The marriage is, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, blessed with 3 lovely, lovely children. I mentioned the names. Kodinama. Yes, Kodinama, Chimamanda, and Orajimetochukwu. Doesn't she? Oh my goodness. A round of applause for her. And at this point, I think I want to leave it so that she would come over and tell us all that we've never heard before. Madam Vice Chancellor, thank you for this opportunity. And to our erudite professor, God bless you. And please, I yield the podium.
Now unto the Lord, the immortal, the invisible, the eternal, the only true God, be glory and honor forever and ever in the name of Jesus. I'm highly elated. I don't know where to start, but I've got to start from somewhere. Madam Vice Chancellor, thank you very much for this opportunity. When Professor G was delivering his inaugural lecture, and you promised to change the trajectory in relation to this lecture series, we all thought it was a joke. But lo and behold, you did change the trajectory, for which reason I am standing before this August audience in August. Thank you very much, ma'am. There's some other thing I would have said about her, but because she's not here physically present, I will leave it. I know I will have another opportunity to say so. The DVC. Professor Anselm, okay, thank you very much. Professor 𝖨yofor, Doctor, I am grateful for your presence. Dr. Mrs. 𝖨𝗇𝖺𝗎tu𝗎ti𝖺, thank you very much. I can't begin to thank now because I have a lot to say, but I am saying welcome to everybody here. I thank the Inaugural Lecture Committee Chairman. I thank the Inaugural Lecture Committee Secretary. But please permit me to stand on the existing protocol and to kick off. They're giving me only 1 hour. I don't know if it will be enough, but let me do my best. Well, I will thank people later, so let me start. The topic in question is, let me read it the way it is, the jurisprudence of child rights, extracting the child as the consumer of parental care in Nigeria, without the law, without the protection. This particular topic has to do with 2 arms of the law of consumer protection and the family law. When we talk about the law of consumer protection, what are we talking about? We are talking about the law that is interested in what we consume, to ensure that whatever we consume must come to us, meeting at least the minimum quality. And I want to remind us that everybody here is a consumer. That dress you're wearing, according to the law of consumer protection, you're consuming that dress. These glasses I'm wearing, I am consuming it. And the essence of this law is to ensure that as I wear these glasses, it's not going to cause me any harm. And if I wear this dress, it's not going to cause me any harm. If it causes me any harm, then there's a fault with this dress. There's a breach of my right to consume this dress somewhere. And once there is that breach, naturally there will be a remedy. You remember our phrase, ubi jus, ibi remedium. So that is the tripod on which the law of consumer protection stands. And then when we talk about the family law, we are talking of all that's happened from the time the couple intend to get married till the time that marriage is over, either by death or by divorce. So the lecture we are looking at, the topic we are looking at, traverse these 2 branches of the law. The child has to do with the family law, and then the issue of consumer and parental care has to do with the family law and equally the law of consumer protection. That is why if you look at the lecture, it's actually big. If you look at the book, because I had to get both arms of the law to be able to make sense. Because when you read it, you're going to understand what I mean. Then, how did I choose my topic, my interest, where the children are? You know, my husband will testify to the fact that even in the car, when I see a woman, you know, at times that's how we are women. You'll be walking with a child, and that child will be running behind you. At times they'll be crying, and the woman will be holding the child, and at times will be shouting. And that will just say, Madam Jilunwayo, walk at his pace. Some of them will curse me. Some of them will say thank you. Even if I'm walking on the road, it's still the same thing. So I notice that there is this inborn passion concerning children. That is how I started having thought about what should be done in relation to the protection of children, in relation to their consumption of parental care. And then there are experiences I had too that helped me, that led me to this particular topic. teaching the law of the business law to accountancy students some years ago in this university. I had an experience. I taught a lady, for the 2 semesters I taught her that course, she only attended my lecture 4 times. Two of them the quizzes for first and second semester, and then the other 2 the exam for first and second semester. I never saw her. When after the first semester ended and her result came out and I gave her a dash, she came to me and asked me why. I said, you didn't attend the lecture. She looked at me. You ought to have known what to do. I told her, I don't know anything to do. You didn't attend the lecture, even if you had made, I didn't even mark your scripts. I don't even know what you made. So that one ended it. When the same thing happened during the second semester, I came to school one day and they said, a woman is looking for you. I said, me? Who is the woman? And I saw the girl with her mother. And the mother accosted me and said, my daughter took your exam the first time you gave her dash and the second time you gave her dash. I said yes, because she didn't even come at all, not to talk of making the 75%, not even the 70% that is the standard you should make before your result will come out. Because you can actually take the exam, but it's not more your result will come out. And the woman looked at me and said, I don't know what 𝖪𝖨. I told her, I don't know 𝖪𝖨. I don't know what will happen. This is her result. She didn't attend my lectures. Of course, she said everything. She cursed me and did everything. Of course, she was just pouring water on pebble, not even on ordinary stone, because it didn't make any odds to me. So I kept quiet. And she left. And then what crossed my mind once she left is, if this lady is being brought up this way by the mother, what kind of child will this lady bring up? And then, if she brings up that kind of child, what will our society look like? That one rang a bell. I kept quiet. And then, looking at our social media, on one particular day, I just came out, looking at the social media with my phone, and I just saw one woman. This thing they call bomb shots. You know how short it can be. Very, very short. And then, that one has their trade. It's a jean short. And then, the daughter was equally wearing that kind of thing. And she was seated here, and the daughter there. She was smoking something. And she was smiling, and the daughter was looking at her and was smiling. They were in a party anyway. And I looked at her, looking at my phone. I didn't know what it was. So I called one of my children and said, what is this thing? What is this woman smoking? They said, is it shisha or something? That was the first time I saw that thing. And I just asked myself, this woman is smoking this thing in the presence of this small girl. You see, they were wearing uniforms, so you could easily say that it is the child. So I said, if this woman is bringing up this girl in this manner, what will this girl be when she's of the age of her mother? And what kind of child is she going to bring up? What kind of care, what kind of parental care is this woman putting inside this girl? And that is what the girl is going to use. And when you remember that when we talk about a child, we are talking about our tomorrow. We are talking about our society. That particular incident just bothered me. And that one passed. And then you notice that by the end of June, July, we normally talk about graduation. It came and the July has gone and it has happened. That I was just passing through Facebook again. I saw one little girl, I'm certain that girl is not up to 10 years. She was wearing this, I don't want to say that she was naked. She was wearing a dress. The knicker was very short. And then it seems as if the t-shirt she was wearing the knicker with was long. So they had to tie it at the back for her tummy to show very well. A girl of less than 10 years. And the parents were there at that graduation party. And she was in that, whatever they did, she was the contestant 10. And they said, contestant 10 is going to carry the day. Look at the way, and because she came out and was swagging and was walking that way they normally walk. And I was saying, what kind of parents will be hailing this kind of sight? Because to me, it was awful. Well, that particular one rang one of the bells in my mind. Then the one that really broke me was one of the days I had during my family law lecture. This set I was called to the bar, that was the set I was teaching in their 4th year, family law. And we are talking about adoption. And then one of the students told us a story of a boy that was adopted into a family. The couple had lived for some years without children. And then as God will have it, they went for adoption and adopted this child. And when they brought this child, the child became the darling of the woman, the darling of the man. And they continued pampering this boy and doing everything to bringing him up very, very well, as a couple should. But all of a sudden, the woman took him. And when she took him, the table turned. And when she had her baby, and the baby is a baby boy, everything, every attitude about the boy changed. The boy became the demon in the house. In fact, she had to withdraw her from the boarding house where he was, and then was really maltreating this child. In fact, that was the one I said, does it mean that a child does not have rights? Does it mean that nobody can speak for this child? What kind of care is this woman extending to the child as the mother of this child? So all these experiences, and many more I cannot recount it, they were all playing in my mind. And when I chose to present an inaugural lecture, that was exactly where my mind went. How do we protect the child? How do we make sure that the products you are putting into the child, rather the service, because this is a service too that the parents render, that the service that is the product you are putting into the child as parents, they are enough to groom a young man. They are enough to groom a young woman. Only one aim I have concerning this lecture. If it is the only thing I've achieved standing here, I will be okay. That any man, any woman, any boy, any girl in this lecture, in this ETF auditorium today, once you've come in with a mindset, I want you to live with one mindset. We shouldn't allow our children to be fed with defective products, the defective parental care. When you see something happening to a child, please say something, do something. There are many avenues. In the course of research concerning this lecture, I noticed that there are many avenues we can use to do this. Please, do yourself that duty. Do our society that duty. Do our tomorrow that duty. That when you see a child being fed with defective service, defective parental service, please make sure that you stop that. You can stop that by going to the Ministry of Social Welfare. You can stop that by reporting to the police. There are a lot of avenues through which you can stop it. So that as we groom our tomorrow, who are our children, we are certain that we are handing over to those who can build up a better tomorrow and then hand over to another generation. So when we have a child in a home, what are we doing? The parents train the child. They give the child all that the child needs from the age of 0. You train the child, you groom the child, but in our villages and in our localities, we know of one thing, that whatever the child is consuming is what the parents give to the child. The child cannot choose his own. He cannot say what should be given to him. And in our paternalistic society, children just consume whatever they are given. Of course, they are not right-bearing children by the way our mentality. They don't have any right. No, it is what we like that we give to them. That is the way our natural law, our environment is in our villages, in our homes. But come to think about it, these children, they have rights too. There are laws that are protecting the children. Sorry. There are laws that are protecting the children. The children have their own rights. So apart from the customary law, where the man is the overlord and lords it onto the children of the family, we have the Child Rights Act, we have the Constitution, we have a lot of, because of this research, I noticed that there are a lot of laws that can be applied to ensure that a child consumed the parental care. Then we begin to look at this topic and we look at the words that make up the topic. What is jurisprudence? That is one question, because if you don't know what jurisprudence is, you won't understand what I'm talking about. Jurisprudence is the science of the law. Jurisprudence is what helps us to understand the relation between a child, between the parents, and then between the state. It focuses on the law. First of all, what does the law come to do? What did the law come to do? Is the law, as it is, doing what it is supposed to do? If that gap that is created that led to the enactment of that law is not doing what it is supposed to do, what should be done? And for us, we are asking, are there laws in relation to children consuming parental care? If there are laws, are they really, the sections of that law, are they being implemented? If they're not being implemented, what can be done? Or are there gaps in relation to children consuming the parental care they're supposed to consume? If there are such gaps, what are we supposed to do? So jurisprudence, the jurisprudential study will tell us all that. And then we look at who is a kid. Okay. They said I should add a little 𝖫, but I've forgotten. I'm sorry. we look at a child. When we begin to ask of who is, I have a lot to say, so I'm very fast. Please, I want to finish. Please bear with me. When we look at a child, who is a child? In Nigeria, nobody can easily answer that question, because when you talk about a child, you talk about the statutory child, we talk about the Islamic child, you talk about the customary law child, you talk about the biological child. When we talk about the statutory child, we are looking at the child as we trace his or her age chronologically. Then when we look at the law in relation to the status, the common law says it's 21 years, somebody between the age of 0 and 21. Then we came over to, if you look at our laws, in fact, all the laws, they all have their own different ages. Criminal law said 14 years. Penal code said 12 years. Labor law, in fact, it has varieties of them. Labor law gave the age of children depending on the function the child is performing. So, no particular age. It is only the Child Rights Act that says that a child is a person under the age of 20, under the age of 18. Once you're a person under the age of 18, that makes you a child, and that is the only time you have the right to consume parental care. Between the age of 0 and age of 18, you can consume parental care. And then we look at the provision of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children. That one made mention of 18 years too. Even the African Charter, it made mention of 18 years too. But the issue is that what the United Nations Convention gave to the children with one hand, it went and collected it from the other hand. Because it said that a child is somebody below 18 years, and said, well, it depends on the age of maturity of the law involved. So that if you're talking about Islamic law, Islamic law says that a child is going to get married at the age of 10. Then, as far as that law is concerned, it is correct based under the United Nations Convention. So we are not going to consider who is a child in relation to that. Then in our circumstances, in our villages, we look at a child, oh, look at that girl, she is big. You don't know whether the girl is 10, you don't know whether the girl is 12, and she's old enough to get married. And because of the biology, the way you look at the child and you see the child, you're not talking about marriage for a child. So that a child will be a child in Nigeria, still the fact that the person is a child, you have clothed that child with the dress of an adult. And the child who is still under 18 years will begin to reason like an adult because of the genetical nature of the child. And then, because of the fact that we don't have a particular age for a child, thank you. Because of that you don't have a particular age of the child, a child in Anambra is not the same child in Bauchi State. It's not the same child in Kaduna State, because we are dealing with different places. And particularly because of the fact that the Child Rights Act is a federal law, quite all right. But for it to apply to any state, it has to be domesticated. So for any state that hasn't domesticated it, whoever they call a child depends on what they think that child, who they think that child should be, and the age they think that child should be. But as far as this lecture is concerned, and as far as the Child Rights Act is concerned, which is actually our Magna Carta as far as child welfare in this country is concerned, we are talking about a child that is between the age of 0 and 18 years as the child in question. Then we look at who is a consumer. When we talk about consumer protection, we are looking at somebody. We are looking at the commercial world, because in the commercial world, we have the producer, they produce their goods, then we have us, you and I, we are the consumers. We go to the market, if we see this good, we don't like it, we don't buy it. So when you talk about consumer and consumer protection, you're actually looking at the commercial world. But we said no. In as much as we are talking about parent-children relationship, yet the parents are the giver of this parental care. And they're giving it to children. And these children are consuming this care. Look at it from that angle. You notice that there's actually that commercial world scenario taking place even in the family. Then we look at, when we talk about consumer and say that consumer is anybody who purchases something, the person either uses it, purchases for the household, or gives it as a gift to some other person. Like our Consumer Competition and Protection Act. It talks about in section 167, it gave us that as the kind of somebody who is a consumer. Then we are looking at a consumer in relation to the child. Is the child actually a consumer? Yes, the child is a consumer. Is the child a consumer of parental care? Yes, a child is a consumer of parental care. Then if somebody who is a consumer in the commercial world can be protected, because when we talk about consumer protection, we are talking about both the laws and the institutions that are there, like the SON, like the NCC and all that. They are all existing to make sure that as the consumer is consuming the product, like if you're talking about the communication services, that the person is not shortchanged. Then this child who is consuming parental care, are there laws concerning the protection of this child? If we can protect a consumer who is consuming a product, can we protect a child who is consuming parental care? We have to, as we continue, we find out whether there are laws actually that can help us to protect the parental care, to protect the child consuming parental care. Then we talk about rights. What are rights? They are the entitlements, the freedoms, the privileges, and the protection that are available to a human being. They inure to a human being because that person is a human being. They inure to a human being because that person is a citizen of the country. Those are the rights that the person consumes. And then we just said that a child is a human being. Under our constitution, we look at section 4, chapter 4 that talks about human rights. Is the child a human being? Yes. So is the child with the right, can the child consume those rights? Yes. Then look at the Child Rights Act, I think section 3, you notice that there are a lot of rights that are listed there that are rights of the consumer and that are the rights of the child. And we've agreed that a child is a consumer, therefore a child has the right to consume all that are contained in section 4 and even in chapter 4 of our constitution and even in our Child Rights Act. Plus looking at it too, if you look at our chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, you notice that it's talking about the, what do we call it? The derivative policy and the fundamental objectives and derivative policies of the derivative principle of state policy. It's talking about a lot of things that inure to the individual, but unfortunately we say that our constitution says that particular chapter 2, they are not justiciable. But I'm happy because these days the courts are trying to go around them to ensure that they are justiciable. And I am still suggesting here that it is necessary that you're here. It's necessary your counterparts at the National Assembly, we look at our constitution again. Let there be a statement that those items on chapter 2 of our constitution, they shall be justiciable. There should be an amendment of that particular chapter of the constitution so that we shall enjoy all that are contained there, particularly our children, because all that they said there is that the constitution is going to protect the aged, the children, those that they shouldn't be exploited and all that. It shouldn't end in that manner. There should be a categorical statement in relation to that. And then, what are child's rights? Child's rights are all that the parents do for the child from the day the child is born to the day the child became 18 years. And even in this country, you will agree with me that it is even more than that. The children we have these days, at 18, we don't even allow them go. It is abroad, you see that kind of thing. We still keep tending to these children. In fact, there's a research now that is going beyond 18 years, trying to look at the age of a child to be between the age of 0 and 25, but it is not yet out. We are looking at it and waiting to know whether it is going to be out. So when we talk about the child's rights, we are talking about the educational rights, we are talking about the survival rights, we are talking about the right against discrimination, and every other right that the child consumes. Those are the child's rights, and those are the things that the parents do for the child. To the child, they are rights, and to the parents, they are their responsibilities that they owe to those children, to ensure that those children enjoy those things, so that they will be able to bring up children children that are stable, bring up children that are groomed children that can be our tomorrow, that when we hand over the baton to them, they'll be able to have a sustainable society. And then when we are talking about these child's rights, we are looking at what the United Nations Convention on Child's Rights said under Articles 2, 3, 6, and 12, that there are 4 cardinal points in relation to child's rights. They talk about non-discrimination against the child, best interest of the child, right to life, survival, and development, respect for the views of the child. And under our own constitution, as I said, we talk about chapters 2 and 4 of the constitution, though that one is unjusticiable. Then we talk about our Child Rights Act. Those are the places where we can go and see the rights of the child. Then what is parental care? All that the parents do for the children between the age of 0 and 18. Those are the parental care that we are talking about. Then we look at basis why we say that a child should be a consumer. Why will a child be a consumer? A child is not a commercial person, is not in the marketplace. Why will a child be a consumer? A child is dependent on the parents. The child cannot think for himself. The child cannot do anything for himself. He cannot provide for himself. The child is 100% dependent on the parents. And it is because of that we are saying, yes, this child needs to be protected. It is not the kind of parental care the parents love that they can give to the child. They ought to give the child care that is standard. They ought to give the child care that meets at least the barest minimum. That we groom that child to become a normal human being who can take care of himself and be able to be useful to the society. Then we talk about that inequality between the parents and the child. If you look at the scale is like this. The parents are here, the child is here. And then when you say that this child cannot be protected, you're doing injustice to that child. There is every need for the child to be protected so that when a parent like that woman we talked about that adopted a boy is giving that boy, is not handling the child well and not making the child consume the right parental care the child is supposed to consume. Something should be done about it. Because in course of this research, you notice that the state can do something. The child can even be withdrawn from the parents. It is the law. Your child can be withdrawn from you when you don't handle the child well and given to a fit and proper person, maybe in a foster home, maybe to a fit and proper parent or parents who can take care of the child. Then we now look at the fact that a child should be protected because looking at it, the relationship between the man and the parents and the child there's a quasi-contract relationship. We have the contract, the service contract. We can find it under section 19 and 20 of the Child Rights Act. We have the law enumerated the duties of the child in relation to the relationship and the duties of the parents in the relationship. We have both parties, they have things that are supposed to do for themselves. So when we look at the nature of it, the nature of the relationship, we look at it as a quasi-relationship, as a quasi-contract. Though it is a quasi-contract, but the child is not coming as the other party of the contract in the commercial world. The child is coming. The child is coming because the child is. I'm sorry, there's water here, please. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. And then the child needs to be protected because there could be a service failure. Just like in a contractual agreement, there is a service failure. There could be a breach of the terms of the contract. In the nurturing of a child, in that quasi-contract, there could be a service failure. Either of the parents or both of them can fail in relation to their duties. The child will not just be left like that at the mercy of the parents. The law says no. The Child Rights Act says no. The United Nations Convention says no. And then the African Charter says no. When it is that kind of situation, something ought to be done about it. The child cannot just stay and be taking whatever the parents are giving to her. If the parents are not giving to the child what the child is supposed to consume, that will make the child to be properly groomed, to be useful to himself, to be able to do something, there is something that can be done. And then we look at the judicial recognition of parental rights. The courts recognize that there are parental duties and there are the children's rights. In that kind of situation, that child is supposed to enjoy the right and the parents are supposed to give the right to the children. Then those are the basis for holding the child as a consumer. Then we look at the principles governing the provision of parental care and protection. We look at, there are about 3 or 4 principles we are going to look at. We're not going to look at all of them. The first one is consumerism. When we talk of consumerism in child development, we are looking at the parental care as a regulated responsibility that the parents owe the child. The parents don't have the right to treat the child any way they like. Whatever they give to the child must meet the acceptable standard. Then we now look at the issue of fitness of purpose. If the parental care that is being given to the child is not fit for what the child needs, it is a breach of the right of the child to consume that. And then you can have recourse to the state, because in this our study we discovered that the state, according to the law, is the ultimate parent of the child. The state is the ultimate parent of the child. The state can come into break that particular shield of the family and look into and know whether the things that are happening in the family are what they're supposed to be. We looked at the issue of rights, that the child actually have rights. And another thing another principle we look at is best interest principle. We have what we call the best interest of the child principle. What is it talking about? It is a principle that's saying that in everything concerning the child, the interest of the child is paramount. Anything in relation to a child, the interest of that child is paramount. You cannot decide anything, whether administratively, judicially, or otherwise. You can't decide anything in relation to a child without considering the issue of that child first. Every other thing comes secondary. Even the interest and the rights of the parents, they come secondary. So that is the way the best interest goes. And then there's a case I want to cite. That is the case of Isabuno and 𝖨유𝖺𝗎tu𝗎ki𝖺. When you talk about rights that the children have, we talk about religious rights. And generally, when a child is below 18 years, the child follows whatever the parents believe in religiously. That's why when you're going to church, you go with your children. When you're going to whatever you're doing religiously, you go with them, grooming them in your own faith. But in spite of that, you're not supposed to hurt that child because that child is your child. The child is your child, quite all right, but the child has rights. You have to respect that right, even as you practice that your religion. In this particular case of Isabuno and 𝖨유𝖺𝗎, I think they belong to the Jehovah's Witness sect. You know that those people, they don't, even if they go to the hospital, they don't take blood infusion. So that child was very sick, and they took the child to the hospital. It happened that child must take blood infusion, and the parents said no, that there won't be any blood infusion. And looking at the child will die without that. And the doctor, the hospital management, the doctors on their own decided to give blood infusion to that child. And eventually, the parents of that child took the hospital management to court. That child became well, quite all right, but that matter ended in court. And that case got to the Supreme Court. And when it got to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court held it is true. Yes, the child is still under 18 years. The child should follow you spiritually, religiously, and otherwise. But when you begin to handle the child in such a way that religious inclination is going to affect the life of that child, no, you don't have the right to do that. Take the child to the hospital. So at the end of the day, there was nothing that came out of that case, because what the hospital did is what the hospital was supposed to do in relation to
Hello.
all that are given to the child from the age of 0 to the age of 18, they are the parental responsibility that the parents have concerning the child. And then another thing is, in this course of extending these rights or these needs onto the child, remember one thing. Even if you have employed a house help, you have employed a nanny, it doesn't absolve you from anything happening to the child because the child consumed a defective parental service. Once you are the father, once you are the mother, you're responsible. And even if that marriage has failed, both of you will still be held responsible, because you have to go to the court, obtain custody, and make sure that the welfare of that child and the best interest of that child comes first, whether you are separated or whether you are living together. Excuse me. And even if one of them fails in relation to provide the provision of parental care to that particular child, it is still the law still looks at it that both of you failed. So if anything is going to happen, both of you are going to be held jointly and severally liable concerning the life of that child. And then the interventionist stance of the state intervenes. Whenever there is defective parental care being given to a child, the state intervenes. In fact, it is the state that can open the door where the ordinary human being like you and I cannot open the door in order to come in. The state has the right, because of the paraphernalia of the state has the right to go into the family and then rescue the child that is being fed with defective parental care. Then how can a child become the member of a family? By lawful marriage. When we talk about lawful marriage, we are talking about a marriage that is celebrated in the registry, a marriage that's celebrated in the mosque, and that's celebrated maybe in the palace as customary law marriage. And then a child who has been born outside wedlock can be legitimized under the Legitimacy Act. The subsequent marriage between the couple can legitimize the child, because it has to be in that kind of situation for the child to become a member of a family. Then we talk about adoption. We know what adoption means. When we sever all the parental rights between the child and the parents and have them transferred onto another person who has now become the parents of that child, then that child will now become. This hasn't gotten up to 14 minutes. Okay, we have the acknowledgement of paternity under customary law. Then we have the assisted reproductive technology. We have the fostering, guardianship, and step parenthood. Under these situations, somebody can become the child of a family, and the person will be the person who has the right of parental care. Then when we talk about ART, we remember that we have the IVF and the surrogacy. What that thing is causing is that a woman can have a child without having a father for the child. And we know the psychological issue when we have a child that does not have a father. The first "I love you" that a girl child should hear should come from the father. That will give the child the confidence that when the child crosses the gate and the man tells him, "I love you," I've been hearing that from my father, it does not make any odds to me. And then when you look at a boy and say, "Oh, you're growing up into a very handsome man," it should come from the mother. So when we give chances for these children not to be taken care of, it is going to affect them, because the father or the mother will not be there. And we are giving chance. When we look at the ART technology, we are giving chance to gay parents to have their own children, whether you know what I mean by, I don't want to go into that one. Then we look at the best interest principle, the concept of parental responsibility, that's the mandate service. Then we look at the essential components of the service contract. One thing about it is that, yes, the parents is in charge of maintaining this child, but they can only give out what they have. They cannot kill themselves to be able to, but they cannot go below the lowest minimum. So when the product or the service that is being extended to the child is below minimum, the state will step in order to rescue the child. We have the historical evolution of child rights of the child rights law in Nigeria. We are not going to look at that. There are the cultural practices and legal interface and all that. Then there is the legal framework. Under the legal framework, we have the Constitution. We looked at that. We've looked at the Chapter 4 of the Constitution in relation to the rights. And then we have looked, in the case of the Constitution, there is something about the Constitution under Section 29(4)(b) that is an age loophole, because there the Constitution said that when you are considering the issue of citizenship, that you are supposed to, any married woman is seen as an adult. Once you are married, under Section 29(4)(b) of the Constitution, you are seen as an adult. So what happens in the North, where children are getting married? We see them as an adult based on the Constitution. So we are calling for a second look and an amendment of that particular part of the Constitution. And another thing is that the Child Rights Act is a federal law. It's a federal act. It does not operate in any state that has not domesticated it. There is the need for that to happen. And then we look at the Child Rights Act of 2003. That is the service agreement as far as you are concerned. It is the consumer protection code for the child. And then it has all the rights of the child. And it is the ultimate quality standard that has been set for the child. And we've said that under Section 19 and 20, we have all that concern the child and all that concern the parents. The United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children has both, it is the quality benchmark, the universal quality benchmark in relation to the care of the child. It is equally there, having the same provisions that a child should not be maltreated, a child should be well brought up. There are a lot, but time is against me. But I want to say something. If you look at the Nigerian Criminal Code, if you look at the Penal Code, if you look at the VAPA Act, you notice that they all have their sanctions in relation to sexual violation of children, whether a boy or a girl. You know that most times when you talk about sexual violence, the minds of most people go to the girl. But boys can equally be violated. But there is something, excuse me. But there is something about this issue of sex. I want to stress it. Why I'm stressing it is because most times when something happens to our girl child or to our children, we are more interested in protecting the reputation of our homes, the reputation of our family name. And then maybe an uncle violated the girl. We say, shut up, we don't want it to go outside. Even if at times that peradventure the matter went out, you notice that 90% of rape cases don't end up in the court. Even if they end up in the court, at a point in time, they'll be withdrawn. It's only very few that we be pursued to the conclusion, all because our family name is concerned. We don't want anything to happen to our family name. Now, we are trying to shut up a child. Let me tell you, as a therapist, I'm a marriage and family therapist, any trauma that you shut up in the life of a child must speak someday. It might speak in the marriage of that child. It might speak in the family of that child. It must speak anywhere. I have handled, there's a case where somebody got married and refused to have a relationship with the husband. In fact, when the man comes close, she's fidgeting, she's shaking, because she was raped when she was young. And the family decided that nobody is going to hear this. And that girl has been living with that, and that affected her marriage until she was advised to go and meet somebody. Somebody that helped her, talked to her, because somebody must take responsibility for any trauma that is caused a child that is growing up. Because that child growing up does not even know how to handle that trauma, particularly when it is sexual trauma. When it is a child or when it is a boy child or a girl child, that trauma, somebody must take responsibility for it. So when we hear of these suicide cases, most times we don't look at the immediate cause. We go back to find out what happens. And I tell you, when these children open their mouth and talk to you, you'll be sorry for what they are passing through. So our laws criminalize all these things. That when you do what you're not supposed to do sexually, it is wrong. Then we looked at the VAP, then the Trafficking in Persons Prohibition, Enforcement and Administration Act of 2015. Of course, when a child is trafficked, that child can be rescued. And when that child is rescued, the child can be kept in their facility for as long as. Then we have the Nigerian Education Act, the UBE Act. That UBE Act said that for the first 9 years of a child's education, it shall be free. And it is compulsory that the parents must take the child to school. And it is compulsory and it is criminal if the parents do not take that child to school. So it is not whether you like it or not, the child goes to school. And it is not when the child goes to school, the child comes back to go to the market and sell things for you. Hawking is equally a criminal offense as far as training the child is concerned. We've talked about the Nigerian Labour Act and the nature of it. Another one I want to touch up is that of the Bostal institutions. The Bostal institution is where you keep children that committed criminal offense that are less than 18 years. They stay there for 2 or 3 years. They must undergo education. They must learn skills there. And then we have the remand homes, where you keep children as they go to court and come back. That is the home. It's a temporary home where they stay. But the question is, when a child has left the Bostal institution and comes out, is there a follow-up to show that the child doesn't go back to what that child used to be? Naturally, there should be a follow-up. Then we look at the institutional framework. We look at the family court under the Child Rights Act. The family court, we know it is not the normal court, it's not that of the children's court. Then we look, it is a court that is friendly, and the constitution is that there will be a judge and there will be 2 assessors, and one of those assessors must be a woman that is psychologically trained so that the person will be able to handle the child. Then we look at the National Human Rights Commission that has the right to equally to investigate the case on their own and come up with decisions. Then the major part of the institutional framework is the, excuse me, it is the Ministry of Social Welfare, whatever, Ministry of Gender, whatever it is called. They are the people that have facilities that when these children are rescued from parents that are feeding them with defective products, they can keep them there for as long as, but when they are there, those children must still be taken care of. And all the maternal and paternal care that they need, they should be supplied to them. Even the Nigerian police force that are supposed to have the welfare, the juvenile welfare centers, so that when the child, there is an issue that happened when something happens and the child finds himself at the police, you're not supposed to keep the child where you have the criminals that are in the cells. No, you're not supposed to do that. And we look at the non-governmental organizations, the Nigerian Red Cross, and all that. There are bodies where children can be kept, and when these children are kept there, they are supposed to be well taken care of. Then what are the challenges and obstacles we have in providing parental care and protection in Nigeria? Limited domestication and implementation of the Child Rights Act, weak enforcement mechanisms. These things are things that we know. They are always there. Poverty and economic constraint in relation to the parents, deep-rooted cultural beliefs and traditions. Then we look at illiteracy. Now, most of these children don't even know their rights. Most of these parents don't even know the rights, that not training the child the way it ought to be is a criminal offense. They don't even know that these children can be, this is what is the right of the child, and this is what they're supposed to do for the child. Because, first of all, the Child Rights Act is not in any vernacular. There should be campaign where these things will be made known to the parents. And we are advising that the study of the content of the Child Rights Act should be part of the curriculum in the primary and secondary school, so that growing up, the child will know the child's right. Because when we talk about this child's right, it is dual. Because I was discussing with somebody before this lecture, and the person said, no, it is going to give the children too much at the beginning. I said no, because in that section 19 of Child Rights Act, there are responsibilities of the child, and there are responsibilities of the parents. Then we are talking about illiteracy and language barrier. These laws are not in our language, so there's need for us to to make people understand it by going into campaign in our local languages so that people will understand. Then judicial bottlenecks and delays, even that is creeping into the juvenile courts these days. Then we have high costs of access to justice. When we are accessing the high courts, you know that the filing fees are no longer children's, it's not a child's play these days. And then when we talk about divorce and separation disputes, it affects the children. We've talked about the Sabuna and Faweya case when we talked about the religious and faith conflicts. Then the parental migration and all that, going from the town to the villages to the town. Most times, people doing such work, they leave their children at the mercy of the house helps, at the mercy of the nannies. Well, some of the violations they come from that kind of relationship. Then what are we going to do to ensure that these things do not happen? We are advocating for compulsory application of the provisions of the Child Rights Act in all the states of the Federation. That is the only way to get it. Domesticate it by the state, or don't domesticate it by the state. Let the Constitution say that all the contents of this law that are applicable to every state. With that, we'll be able to stop those men that have those things those men do in the north. We might be able to really fight for the children and let the children enjoy parental care. Then we have education and skill development in relation to the children, health and nutrition and all that, poverty reduction and social welfare, to be able to enable the parents to be able to cater for the children. Then we suggested multilingual public awareness. We'll conduct an aggressive educational campaign in local languages, telling them about their rights. And then we co-opt traditional rulers, religious heads, and community leaders in doing that. Then we talk about community-based monitoring, particularly the issue of whistleblowing. That is why I said, if you walk into this hall today and you're living the way you came, then you have lost the essence of this lecture. You can be a whistleblower. You can tell somebody who will tell somebody that this child is being maltreated. You can tell somebody who will tell somebody that this child is not going to school. You don't just keep quiet. And most times, you're only looking at, you want to post on the Facebook. You're catching You're catching cruise. You're trying to get clout. You're trying to create content. Meanwhile, we are losing our tomorrow in our hands. So we have to look at that. We have to protect children from abuse and exploitation. The issue of cultural and religious reorientation. Parents, whatever you believe in shouldn't affect the future of your child. It shouldn't affect the health of your child. No matter who you are, no matter what you believe in, once there is that kind of situation, please, please, please take your child to the hospital. The case of 𝖢tu𝗎 and 𝖨𝗇𝖺. Then we look at adoption. We are suggesting that there be reforms in relation to adoption. I don't have time to go into a lot of things in relation to adoption. We have de facto adoption, we have de jure adoption. And most times, 95% of adoptions that take place in Nigeria are de facto adoption. Nobody cares about it. And then these children, some of them that initially suffer what that boy in our example suffers, there will be a problem. Then we talk about the aftercare. We talk about the aftercare system and reintegration of the child into the system. I have been told to go into my acknowledgement, but please, can this audience permit me to read my closing speech? It won't take up to 5 minutes. Please, I beg. Please. Madam Vice Chancellor, esteemed colleagues, distinguished scholars, and ladies and gentlemen, as you draw this inaugural lecture to a close, we must return to the sobering reality that initiated our academic inquiry. The true measure of our modern Nigerian civilization is not found in the height of our skyscrapers or the vastness of our foreign reserves. Instead, it is measured by the robustness of our legal and social fortifications we build around our most vulnerable citizens, our children. The reality in the streets and classrooms. Today, we have dared to pull back the veil on the traditional Nigerian family structure. When we look into the classrooms across our nation, we see the direct result of the parental care delivered at home. Yet, outside those classrooms, the reality is stark and unforgiving. Millions of our children are currently out of school and subjected to hazardous street hawking and exploitative labor. Countless young girls remain victims of early marriage, stripped of their developmental rights under the guise of cultural preservation. The Amajiri system continues to produce children without education or vocational skills, leaving them vulnerable to become tools for terrorism, kidnapping, and banditry. Whether we agree or not, what they are suffering in Nigeria today is as a result of this. Because the Amajiris will grow up to become children. Most of them don't even know their parents again. They don't know where they started. So we are still confronted with horrific cultural taboos, such as the recent discovery of newborn babes abandoned in this bush in the northern state of Nigeria, discarded mainly because they are about the fired village culture. These are not just social misfortunes, they are catastrophic breaches of a legal service contract, a radical jurisprudential shift. Please. For too long, the Nigerian child has been relegated to a status of non-legal entity, treated as the property of their parents or a mere economic asset for the community. But this lecture has proposed a transformative legal thought. We must now view the child as a consumer of parental care. To view the child as a consumer is to strip away the sentimental darkness that shields domestic abuse and neglect. Simple. It introduces a sophisticated framework of accountability from the parents, quality control from what is given to the child, and the festival standards when the parents don't live up to this. So when they breach one of the terms of the contract, then parental care is no longer a discretionary act of biological benevolence. It is a mandatory, legally enforceable service of high constitutional importance. Yes, and we parents owe that to the child. As service providers, we parents are bound by the quasi-statutory contract to deliver a product that is fit for purpose.
namely the physical, educational, and moral development of the child. When this product is defective, when the upbringing delivered is marked by malnutrition, violence, or educational deprivation, it is not merely a private family matter. No, it is a legal wrong that demands redress and intervention. Then our question again, without the law, without the protection, we possess the legal architecture to protect these young consumers. The Child Rights Act of 2003 stands as a Magna Carta of the Nigerian child, domesticating global standards and establishing best interests of the child as the supreme, non-negotiable standard for all actions. The 1999 Constitution guarantees the right to life, dignity, and freedom from discrimination. Yet, we must ask the critical question, without the law, without the protection. The tragedy of our current jurisprudence is that our laws are often robust. Yes, they are. We have up to 10, 15 of them. In the books, But Malnourished in Action, a national framework, the family court to social welfare ministries remain underfunded and legally toothless. The Nigerian state cannot abandon its children to an unguarded market of parental care, where only the lucky survives. Under the doctrine of parents' patrie, the state must act as the ultimate guarantor, stepping in to regulate with regulatory vigor when primary providers that are the parents fail. A promise to the future. Madam Vice Chancellor, the jurisprudence of child's rights is, at its core, a jurisprudence of vulnerability and accountability. We must dismantle the key assumption that the father always knows best, especially when cultural practices conflict with statutory safety standards. The right of a child to receive adequate care and protection must override any cultural whim. Not based on the whims and caprices of the parents, no. Religious interpretation and parental convenience. Let this not be just another academic exercise. That is why I am begging. You came in here with a mindset. You cannot say that you're going with the same mindset in relation to providing parental care for the child. Let this be a call for a radical shift in our legal consciousness, a movement from protection by chance to protection by law. We must ensure that every child born in Nigeria is recognized as an active claimer of rights, entitled to a standard of care that guarantees their future. Because ultimately, the children of today represent all of our tomorrows. I've been told since to go into, yes, please, I'm coming. Acknowledgement. Let me thank you. Please, I'm sorry I've taken so much of your time, but it's just the nature. Now I have to combine two branches of the law, so it is big. Madam Vice Chancellor, I am grateful for this opportunity. My man, Professor Anselm, standing as the Vice Chancellor today and as the DVC. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am grateful. Thank you very much. Then, my DVC academics, Dr. Ejiofor, I am grateful. I hope I've not wasted your time. Dr. Nwani, God bless you for coming. There are a lot of people I want to recognize. I want to say I am grateful to. I have two fathers. I've lost one of my fathers. One of them, another of them is here. I'm talking about my elder sister's husband, Venerable Ephraim. Maybe he hasn't been in my life. I won't be where I am today. Thank you, Daddy. I am grateful. I am grateful to Reverend Chris Emelie. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion. My reverend in the village, Reverend Imonya Jekwe, has he gone? Oh, thank you very much, sir. I am grateful. Thank you for coming. Venerable Obi, I don't know where you are. You belong to the university. Whether you are here or not, I am grateful to you. Reverend Obi, oh, thank you, sir. Okay. I know. I have a lot of people to say thank you to. Professor who came here since. Professor Ibe, Professor Henry Aginam, Dr. Obi, Oko Microfinance Bank, yes. Former bossa of the Polytechnic. Hey, my husband is here, Dr. S. Are you okay? My husband, thank you for coming. Oh, most of my husbands are here. Because I won't be able to mention all of you one after the other. Because I am grateful for your presence. Then I have my Indimunyedi because you did so wonderfully well for me. You can see my munyedis. I am grateful to all of you. Thank you very much. Particularly uniform now. I am grateful. God bless all of you for me. Hey, and my brother, chairman of the inaugural lecture committee. Oh, you know why I don't know what to tell him? At a point in time, I called him and told him I won't be able to do this lecture because I was sick for 3 weeks and I was almost dead. At a point, when I will be working, I will be held by my husband. In the hospital, I couldn't sit down. I was lying down. And then I told him I cannot deliver this lecture. He told me, okay, since it's your health. Eventually, I started, and I continued. And I called him, I told him, he was talking as if he was speaking about himself going to deliver the lecture. Thank you very much, sir. I owe that gratitude. I don't take that love for granted. I am grateful, sir. You know what started 2008. Thank you very much, sir. Since 1993, so I'm not I don't know who. AGK. I don't want to talk about AGK. I call him AGK here. He is my student. He is my in-law. AGK removed the burden of this lecture from me. When I said he removed the burden from me. I did everything I did, every preparation I talk, apart from the book, every other thing was done I talk. And AGK did everything by himself. I can't thank you enough, AGK. You were going okay. Man, not going to the special. Man, I don't want surprise. Oh, and do any see me. My niece, thank you very much. Then my siblings that are here, hey, didn't know what this part of the country. Thank you for coming. I am grateful. Uncle Isaiah. Uncle Isaiah and my auntie. This is the sister that I have since my elder sister died. See, the Lady Gloria, she's a lawyer, and she took over and became my elder. Let him look what I said about him in my book. He means a lot to me. Professor Wako, hey, my dean, man. Professor Collier, my man, since 2005. My dean and prof, thank you very much. Hey, Mrs. Agubata, prof. No, thank you. Oh, Chidima, thank you. Dr. Ibe, thank you very much. Hey, become mekano. Hey, Sandra, Chidima, Kelechi, Amarozima, because the person in black. Miss Obianu Jude, because thank you. Reverend Father Ezogamba, thank you very much. Thank you. Prophecy for Maobi. Hey, thank you. Even with the shortest notice, hey, my students, my professors first. The members of the Senate, I bow before you. Thank you very much. I am grateful for gracing that occasion. You know, at a point when it was 10, 11, we are saying, I am very, very grateful. Thank you very much. Professor Prof. Anyway, Prof. Prof, thank you very much. Prof, thank you very much for coming. I treasure your presence. And then, Biko ụmụ akwụkwọ m ndị n'ebe a, o nwekwa a student n'izu Kano wee bịa this lecture. All the way from Kano State. Chinedu, are you here? Chinedu, thank you. I'm grateful. The risk and everything. You brought yourself for this lecture. May God bless you. My students, past and present. Ndinjibiri of Law Faculty. Thank you. Thank you very much. Then the music department. Amaro mihenga agwunu. Chineke goziere munu. Chineke dowere munu. Then I go to my family. Hey, I don't know how to thank Obumneme-Okafor. Thank you is not enough for this man. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but please, I am grateful. If you're going to see Nimech Aluburu, Professor of Law, it is because of him. Abuna allow Rosini to become a professor of law. I won't be standing here today before you. This is one man that does not care the height where the wife is. It does not matter to him. He will keep pushing you. When I got my LLB, he said, oh, you made a 2-1. When I got my 4.75, he said, oh, you can even get a 5.00. The man will push you and push you and push you. But today, never push them. I am grateful. Professor Anselm, I am still thanking you. I'm very grateful for being given this opportunity. I do not take it for granted. From my heart of hearts, I deeply appreciate it for allowing me to deliver this inaugural lecture. Then I will just mention Emilia. Ify, thank you. Sister, because that is just my prayer. Thank you very much. Please. We are almost at the end. In fact, we are at the end. Writing this lecture, I want to end with what Professor Adiogu said of UNILAG in 1986 when he delivered his inaugural lecture. He described an inaugural lecture as a dinner speech and as a prize the professor pays because of his chair as a professor of a university. And in doing that, because he was a professor of commercial law, there was something he said, and I'm standing on that because I'm equally a professor of commercial law. And he told the vice chancellor then that he has delivered his lecture. In the law of contract, consideration must not be adequate. But the important thing is that it is sufficient in the eye of the law. And then he told the vice chancellor, if peradventure what he has presented is not adequate, the important thing it is that it is sufficient in the eye of the law. I am standing on that thing he said, and said as a professor of commercial law, my vice chancellor, I have delivered my inaugural lecture. I don't know whether it is adequate or not, but even if you consider it to be inadequate, I am certain and under the principles of the law of contract, it is adequate, it is sufficient in the eyes of the law. Therefore, on that I stand, and I say
thank you very much. A standing ovation for the super professor in the making. A standing ovation. Let us be upstanding and extol this beautiful professor that has just delivered eloquently, persuasively, and very, very articulate. It is not easy. Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you. Yeah, that is why. After this lecture, I now know why. Police. Thank you. At this juncture, may I briefly acknowledge these personalities that acknowledge Honorable Ejiko Okechukwu. I want to acknowledge also his colleague, Honorable Dr. Nonso Smart Okafor, a member that represented May we not in the Anambra State House of Assembly. Honorable, I salute you so kindly. I also salute the
Dean, Faculty of Law of this great institution, Professor E.I. Okorie. I salute you, sir. E.Q. Okorie. Okorie is his name, please. I stand on that. Take me to court. That will defeat you, though you are a professor of law. I also salute Professor Johnny Okongwu. He's of the law faculty also, and a special advisor to the VC on law. Dr. 𝖫𝖨du𝗈 is of the law faculty too. Professor 𝖫𝖮𝖴 is of UNIZIK Faculty of Law. I salute Dr. 𝖫𝖨du𝗈, I've said that. Dr. Ikenna 𝖫𝖮𝖴, I salute you. Professor Bruno Ibekilo is the ASU chairman in COOU. I salute you. Dr. Nonso Owazuroke of the Faculty of Law. Professor C.I.N. Emelie is of the law. Professor Nonye Agobata is of accountancy. Professor Ma Ekwonu is of the chemistry department, and so many others. I recognize and salute all of you. In rounding off, may I invite the chairman of the inaugural committee, Professor O.S.A. Odikeze, for the vote of thanks and announcements. Thereafter, he will invite Madam Vice Chancellor to decorate the lecturer. I thank all the lecturees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. MC. I think my job has been made very simple. The inaugural lecturer had done the vote of thanks, more or less, by appreciating everybody here. So I want to join her to thank you for coming. First, to thank God for making it possible for us to come. In the morning, it seemed it was going to rain, but with time, it's cleared and we are still here. Thank God for that. We want to thank the Vice Chancellor for the opportunity, especially coming all the way from Britain to talk to us. We appreciate her so much. The DVCs, we only have one that is not here, the one at Uli campus. We appreciate you people. All the principal officers, okay, we have the librarian, the super professors here present, deans of faculty here present, professors of the university, especially the super professors, we thank you for coming. I must thank and appreciate Sir Isaiah Ezezika. He knows why I must appreciate him. Sir, you're welcome. He is the immediate past president of Agwata Council of Knights, and also the past national president of Anglican Knights, no matter how I put it. And the wife is also the president of the ladies in our church. You are welcome. Professor Obu was there with us, left for a seat. Prof, you are welcome. I hope you are enjoying Mba and his goodies. And then we have Obuefi Nukefi, member representing Anocha. We have also Omuada Oko, Ndi Inyom na Ndi Nwunye Edi, Hancha Biareba. We want to appreciate you people. One thing that is very clear with inaugural lecture, or two things, two basic things. One is that you can, did I say two? More than two. You can do your inaugural lecture once you're a professor. If you are made a professor today, the next day you can aspire to do your inaugural lecture. Number 2 point is that you don't fail, it's not here for exam. Any person coming up is not here for any examination. No questions will be thrown to you. And that's why so many, some people know, onye nwekwa n'ego, ogebuga nwa school run. But she has spoken, and that is the verdict. And then the third one is the issue of time allotted for this. It's 1 hour. Once you are coming up here, prepare yourself. And that's one of the things of the impressive summary when we were in secondary school. So I want to thank everybody that is here. Two other persons are very important and very dear to me. Professor Henry Agenam is a saint. The saint and the grammite. You're welcome, Prof from UNIZIK. He's also an engineer. And then the associate chair of this university, Ofebwejemba Bruno. You're welcome. Every other person that is here, please accept our appreciation. We deeply recognize you for coming. If you were not here, this place would not have been as interesting as it has been since we started. Another point I want to make is that next month, September 24, we are going to have another lecture from another law professor, Professor Charity Ifi-Emelie of Law Faculty will present September 24, 2026. So the law people are, they did last month, they are doing this month, consecutively 9-4. There are some faculties that have not presented inaugural lecture. Anyway, not therefore, we already have the list filled up to next year. By October 22nd this year, we are going to have, is it the third inaugural lecturer from Management Sciences, Professor Leo 𝖍𝗇𝖽𝖾li𝗂. We do his inaugural in October. We also have Professor Leo Chukwu of Pharmacology. We present November 12, 2026. And this year we wrap it up with presentation from Reverend Sister Professor M.N.E.Eze of Faculty of Arts on the December 10, 2026. That's the schedule for this year. We already have a schedule from January up to May next year. So once more, we want to appreciate you for coming. We want to invite our Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration and Environmental Matters, Professor Anselm Nweke, to come up, decorate the lecturer, and also declare the event closed. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Sir, why I like this job is that you appreciate and recognize every other person except the MC. You appreciate me in financial terms. That's why it is better than any other job.
That's called sarcasm, is it? No problem. I don't even appreciate myself.
If you see.
Good afternoon. My name is Professor Anselm Chukwuemeka Nweke, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration and Environmental Sustainability. Representing our Vice Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor of NAN and the future university. Professor Kate Azuka Omenoga, the Amazon. Like you heard when she addressed us here all the way from UK, telling us how dear this university is to her and how dear this inaugural lecture is to her. Because when she assumed office as the Vice Chancellor in 2023, precisely December, we are at the 80th inaugural lecture, right? Good. So from the 8th, we've moved to 34th, just within a space of 2 years and few months. So can we give her a round of applause, please? It's not a small thing. So outside there, she's also, you see that she's saying that she's signing MOU with the university. All this thing is all about the value, visibility, and viability, which is the principle of her administration. On behalf of her, I welcome you all once more. I thank the chairman of the committee, my own Professor because Miliano Nawa, for so from taking us this far. He's really doing a wonderful job for this university. So if you're a professor and you've not registered or you've not come to identify with him or to book a date, you're on your own, because he's ever ready to assist you in whichever capacity that you may want, except financial, but other ones. But other one is ready. Thank you. I thank all the colleagues that are here. I've seen all of you, the ASU, and the super professors. The super professors, you are welcome. You are while others. It's good to come always. When we are made a senior professor, come and join us here, please. Come up, super professors. Prof, Akurienne, please. You come up because you've gotten a new member. Good, you know, like the culture of the university, when you are at your inaugural lecture, you donate one thing or the other to the university. Our inaugural lecturer today has pledged something, but for now, we will not make it open. We will not make it open for some reasons, but she has pledged to support the university in very big way. So may we give her a round of applause. On behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Kate Azuka Omenoga, I welcome you into the Super Professors of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu University. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Immediately after this, we'll take other photographs, other group photographs. The Dean of Law, please get ready. And all the professors from other universities, please get ready. Dean of Law and other professors in the Faculty of Law, please, let's do it quickly. Let's do it quickly, otherwise you do it outside. Dean of Law, please. EQ Okolie. Just 2 minutes. Dean of Law, please. Professor Kungu, I think you are part of it. The law. Honorable members here present, get ready. Photograph. Honorable members here present, please get ready. Honorable Smarts and Honorable Ejike. Dr. Ibe, I salute you so kindly. The Ibes, I salute you so kindly. Please don't rush it. Don't rush it. Just take it the way I've mentioned it. Honorable. Habato Konko family, get ready. Honorable members here present. Smart, please. Honorable members. Please, if I don't call you, don't rush. Don't rush. Let's do it gently. This is a university and we have a way of doing our things. Madam, I don't accept this. You are a professor, I know. Please, 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 please. I know you are a professor of French. After the honorable members, we cut it, then do recession. Prof. Agubata, honorable members, Biko Nuno. Oh, yeah. Thereafter, recession. Recession, please. Okay. There is no need for recession because the VC is gone. Please, the family, immediate family, please. Dr. Ibe, Okobulu Sogenia. How about Okonkwo family? How about Okonkwo family, please? The Okonkwos. How about Okonkwo family, please? Thank you, Prof. Reverend Father Prof, you are welcome. My Prof. Okonkwo. Yes, the cars. They will take a loan. The SSD cars. Please allow the SSD cars. Please allow the SSD cars.